Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Fascina en tu mirada, mujer. divina magia del atardecer y la maravilla de la inspiración. Tienes en el ritmo de tu ser todo el palpitar de una canción. Y eres la razón de mi existir, mujer. Tienes el perfume de un naranjo en flor. El latido fuerte de una majestad. Sabes de los miembros que tiene el amor. Tienes el hechizo de la liviandad. La divina magia de un atardecer y la maravilla de la inspiración. Tienes en el ritmo de tu ser todo el palpitar de una canción. Y eres la razón de mi existir, mujer.
this really great event started. Again, we are Las Azaleas, and we love exposing the works of incredible women. And so that first song we played was by Maria Grevet, and we have more Maria Grevet tunes in store for y'all. We love to pay homage to the queen of Tejano, Selena. So if you know it, please join us. It's always fun to find an occasion to sing along. So very happy to be here.
Last minute changes. The Confluence Center, yes.
Quédate ahí en ese lado. See, I should have done them on the phone like everybody else does. I'm not. Is it okay if I take pictures on my phone too? Yeah.
Let everyone to know to take a seat.
Hello. A round of applause for the Azaleas, please. Such a wonderful music. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. My name is Javier Duran. I'm the director of the Conference Center. And I first want to, as I welcome you, introduce my colleague, Yadira Caballero, who is going to do the land acknowledgement. Yadira, please.
Yat anotso she ya Yadira Caballero Yanishia look at the net initially ado not eshetopaha a dashache ado nakai dashanele bitas eat then not shah ado Tucson de cash I got ego the nest and initially. So I'm gonna try to do something a little different this time. I'm gonna start by posing a question to you all. What does land mean to you? Does the meaning change for you 20 years later? Will the meaning be different for the younger generations? As we live in a current moment of transitions, as visitors of this area, we have to continue to understand and reflect the long-standing history and stories about the land. Most of us here know the history of settler colonialism, which has deep injustices that Native people have endured over centuries. Being a Diné person, Native people have endured experiences at the hands of federal and state governments, religious institutions, and colonizers. This continues to be an ongoing impact of colonialization that tribal communities continue to live with to this day. So this brings me to say we must not forget that Native people have deep connections to the land. The land is part of who we are. It is part of our identity from the past, where we are today, and it will continue into the future. We should carry the respectfulness of the people who have been here thousands of generations and will continue for generations to come. If we could take the moment to acknowledge we are located on the Tohono Nation in the Pasquayaqui tribe. They are the ones whose care and keepings of these land allows us to be here today. It is a place in relation to the original people of the land and who continue to carry their traditions and cultures. Everything around us is alive. It has a purpose. It is a special place where we are surrounded by plants, animals, mountains, and nearby waters, which all have meaning to the original people. We give thanks to Mother Earth, honor Father Sky, and the Creator. We look after the life on the land that is given to us. I closed here to say it is imperative that we continue to be mindful of our present participation of being on these lands and to continuously carry these reflections where you currently reside and wherever you go. Land acknowledgement shouldn't be a statement because it does not have intentions. In practice, it means to understand the connections, honoring the people whose land you're around, as well as knowing the people that move across places. Ahiahat.
Thank you. Muchas gracias, Yadira. And right now is the moment in which we recognize the number of people that make this possible. I would like first to thank our host, the Mexican American History Museum and the Sosa Carrillo House for their hospitality. A special thanks to Betty, Alicia, and Evelyn, as well as to los descendientes del presidio de Tucson for the guidance with this event. We're grateful to our conference center colleague, Lydia Otero, for contributing to the panel, to put the panel together. Gracias a nuestros panelistas, who will be properly introduced shortly, especially to Lydia Otero, the mastermind of the panel. And by the way, Lydia is a third-time veteran of show and tells. She told me, so says something about the engagement. Our gratitude to Jose Jimenez and Petroglyphs for the long-standing support for the show and tell series. Jose's man in the bar here. Gracias, Jose. Muchas gracias a nuestros amigos Analí Guzmán and family from the delicious Antojo Poblano, who are catering tonight's event after the presentations. So food will be back there. You have tickets for that, so don't forget. And also make sure that you attend the grand opening on February 9th. It's going to be important. Also, our thanks to the University of Arizona Office of Research, Innovation, and Impact for their support, and to our U of A colleagues from the Conference Center Faculty Advisory Board for their constant assistance in making things happen. And finally, my deep gratitude to the best team at the University of Arizona, the Confluence Center team, who makes all this work possible. Gracias, Ángela Martínez, Yadira Caballero, Yasmin Vázquez, Irán Peña, Leo Stover, Valeria Tapia, Drew Bata, María Arantes, and Ben Smith. Muchas gracias por todo su apoyo. Y I mentioned that show and tell has been around over 10 years. We started show and tells at the playground back in the day when nobody would come downtown. And then we moved to Las Barrio, and then to Mercado San Agustin, then we're here, where we should be from now on. And it's been a journey of not only engagement, but also of highly rewarding relationships with the community. And we're really proud to represent the University of Arizona and bring the work of colleagues and students and others to the community and vice versa, which is very important in terms of this. And now I'm really happy to introduce our moderator de lujo, Mr. Raúl Aguirre. Raúl Aguirre is President and CEO of REI Media. Is a progressive and innovative leader within the Latino community with an in-depth knowledge and understanding of the various nationalities comprising the Latino community. Mr. Aguirre is at the forefront of Latino leadership, and he's been recognized as a national advocate as well as a pioneer for bilingual radio and television. Mr. Aguirre has worked as an international reporter, host and segment producer for both Telemundo and Univision Spanish language networks. Because of his experience as a national recognized cultural commentator and speaker on Latino issues, he consults with major corporations on strategic positioning, effectively research emerging markets in the United States. As an active leader in the Hispanic community statewide and nationally, Mr. Aguirre has received numerous awards and honors from civic and professional organizations, including the famous Mexico's Otley Award. His talents in public speaking and dynamic workshops make him a highly sought-after presenter throughout the U.S., Mexico, and Latin America. Raúl Aguirre is a graduate of the University of Arizona and president of REI Media, great friend of the Confluence Center of many of you, and we're really proud to have you here, Raúl, this afternoon. And I understand he's writing a book, so I'm looking forward myself to reading that book sometime. Bienvenido, adelante, take it away.
Pura salsa en esos tacos, pura salsa. ¿Cómo están? ¿Calientitos? Tucson's winter, man. ¿verdad? Qué frío. Mucho gusto estar aquí con todos ustedes. I was one of the, I think I was one of the first MCs at the playground when I said, man, you can drink, you can party, and you can get your mind, you know, introduced to some really interesting things. I remember that a camarada that came from Chihuahua and did a thing on Pancho Villa, and it was like a real Chicano chic show, you know. It wasn't like, here comes Pancho Villa, hijos de su, well, I'm not going to say the word, but it was a great thing, and I found out that the center was, gave them the funding so they can get this done. And I've been a big supporter of what they do because in the last 10 years, they have made a big difference in the dialogue and also the communication with the community, so we can come together in many of the cultural, historical, even some semi-political, dare I say, issues that are important. So I want a big round of applause. 10 years anniversary. Thank you to Dr. Javier Duran and all the staff for all the work they've done. They've really done an amazing job in the last 10 years. And speaking of the University of Arizona, I'd like to recognize Dr. Riley from the University Mexican American Center. Thank you for all the work as well. Dr. Macario Saldat is here also, former state representative, and also, were you the first director of the Mexican American Research Center? Yes, the first one. I remember the Mecha days. Huh? I remember any mechistas left? Hey, yeah, there you go. Also like to recognize Council Member Lane Santa Cruz. Yeah, once a mechista, always a mechista. Right, Mayor? For sure. Also, when we talk about some of the Renaissance things that are going on, some of the people come to mind, and a couple are here. I don't know if you read the Arizona Daily Star, but when this young couple came to take over Borland Theater, because many of us work with Barclay Goldsmith, Teatro Libertad, we go back, guys. And yeah, like 50 years. So when you think about what we're doing here today, it's not the work of the last, 5 years, few years. It's been on the making for a long time. And Betty Villegas is going to talk a little bit about that. But I'd like to recognize Milton and David Piñate from Borderlands. You guys are also putting us at the national level. Congratulations on the national award. Right on. Also, Melo Dominguez. Where's Melo? Stand up, man. Say hello. Also out there agitating the masses. Orale, dale gas. It's hard to shepherd all of you. It's difficult. It's like cats in a bag, man. Gatos en un saco. Very, very difficult. But we're doing it. And that's the beauty of it all. And also, I'll be remiss if I didn't mention the work of the Mexican Consulate. Has been really, I think in the last few years, they really come to the forefront. And Consul Rafael Marcelo Durazo, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Todavía traigo un poquito de COVID-19 tosecita. Kind of sticks with you, man. If you haven't gone through it, it almost took me, pero hey, aquí estoy. Como decía Lalo Guerrero used to call me el aguerrido. And he goes, porque siempre eres haciendo broncas. So, it's all good. I'll take my glasses off so I can see. There will be some question cards. They'll be passed at the beginning of the program right now. So, Michelle, I think she's going to pass the cards to be collected after the presentations conclude. Please write legibly so we can read. No, sí, porque luego se enojan. Why didn't you read my card? Pues no le entendí ni... Anyway, no sabía ni qué decía. Is this English, Spanish? What the heck is it? So make sure you write them legibly. Again, thank you for the invitation. We appreciate it. I'm going to introduce our panel, starting with a friend, Betty Villegas, who we've been working for a long time to try to make some of these things happen. She's a third-generation native of Tucson and has been advocating for housing affordability and cultural heritage and preservation issues for a long time. When I was about 24 years old, I was at a party. Can I have my water over there? Right there, that one. I was at Las Vistas. I was a DJ at El Dorado nightclub on La 6 and 4th Avenue. And we were at a party, right? You don't expect people to come and go, "Are you a homeowner?" I said, "Who are you, man?" She introduced herself. "I'm Betty Villegas. I'm into housing for people. Do you have a house?" And I said, "No, man, I haven't even thought about it." So anyway, she got me thinking about housing issues when I was 24, 25 years old. And if she talked to me like that at a party, you think what she did during the job? So she's been around for a long time. She retired from Pima County, where she managed the housing program for the community development. She also became an interim supervisor, taking after, when we lost Richard Elias, she was appointed, and because that was so unexpected, but I thought it was a great choice. Betty returned to work with the City of South Tucson as Housing and Community Development Director, and she's a founding member and currently serves on the Board of Directors of Latinos in Heritage Conservation, a national organization dedicated to promoting Latinx leadership and engagement in historic preservation. She's also a former president of Los Descendientes de Tucson, and under her leadership and advocacy, this group has opened Arizona's first Mexican-American Heritage and History Museum here at the Sosa Carrillo House. And she's the current museum co-director. Betty Villegas, I think they're supposed to go, "Come on down." Also, I think we're gonna first sit down, and then we're gonna go through I'm gonna do the introductions. Oh, you can do it. Let's just do it. But I thought, come on. No, I'd like everybody to see you over here. Go ahead and sit down over here. Please. Okay. Then I guess that defeats the purpose.
I'll sit next to you.
She'll sit next to you. Dr. Lydia Otero is our next panelist. They, them. As author, Lydia Otero explores contested landscapes in Tucson and Arizona. In La Calle, her book, Spatial Conflicts and Urban Renewal in a Southwestern City, published in 2010. And it focused on the 1966 Urban Renewal Project, which targeted the most densely populated 80 acres in Arizona, although Mexican Americans dominated the renewal area, and demographically, most of the city's Asians and African Americans also live there. Dr. Otero gives voice to those who lived in, experienced, or remember this contested area, and details the forces behind the mass displacement. Building on these topics, Dr. Otero released In the Shadows of the Freeway, Growing Up Brown and Queer in 2019, which merges personal memoirs in the historical archive to describe how a new freeway created a barrier that greatly influenced formative aspects of their childhood and the multiple effects of environmental racism. For their families and their neighborhoods, its effects were oftentimes lethal, resulting in layers of unresolved intergenerational trauma. Otero's book compilation, Notitas, Select Columns from the Tucson Citizen, was released in 2021. The columns were written by Alba Torres, who played a prominent role in organizing La Placita Committee, the most formidable resistance to urban renewal that targeted Tucson barrios in the late 1960s. Dr. Otero, Sí, véngase para acá. Although they were not the same experiences, her and I went to Pueblo High School. So I was also disenfranchised. Because, you know, some of us wetbacks sometimes didn't fit in. But it was all right. I told them I wanted to be governor of the state of Arizona. And they said, you got to get your papers first, bro. I don't think that in recent times, any mayor of this city has gone to what this mayor has gone to. And of course the council members. Because it's been one thing after another. And yet, she has continued to push forth with pride, with strength, with civility, you know, and despite all the ignorance and all the detractors and everyone, she continues to lead this city in a formidable way. Give her a good round of applause. Mayor Regina Romero is one of our next panelists. And you know, I met her when she just came out of I used to say Yuma, and they go, Soma, Yuma, summertime. They corrected me all the time. And she's done a great job. She was elected in November of 2019, becoming the first woman and the first Latina mayor of Tucson. Woo! Yeah. Her parents, whom I know and love dearly, farm workers from the area of Somerton. Regina broke barriers wherever she came as the first member of the family to vote, the first to graduate from college prior to being elected mayor. She was a city councilwoman, so when I say we've been talking about these issues with her, it's been a long time, and she was a council member from 2007 till 2019, and she's a committed person to creating Tucson as a sustainable, thriving desert city of the future through her policy priorities that she will talk about, I think, instead of me mentioning them, but supporting families, investing in our infrastructure, parks, a robust economy, and equitable access and investment. She's the chair of the Latino Alliance of the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the co-chair of Mayors Against Illegal Guns. She's an inaugural member of the Mayors Alliance to End Childhood Hunger, and also Mayor Romero is a member of the Climate Mayors Network, a nationally recognized voice of action. Please welcome Mayor Regina Romero. Y ahora sí, Betty, don't be shy, dale gas y ponte pilas. All right? Please welcome Betty Villegas.
So the first thing I want to say is that I realized that there's no podium, and I printed all my notes and slides, and then I thought, I could have done that on my phone, right? But then I saw Javier and Raul did the same thing, so it goes to show you what generation we're from.
Hey, forget los descendientes, los temblorosos.
Exactly. So, and I brought my phone in case it gets dark and I can't see. So, and I may have to have Alicia. So, anyway, so thank you for that introduction, Raul. It's so great to see all of you here in this space, because obviously I have a personal connection to it, being the co-director. And this is exactly the type of space and place that we want to to continue to have here. So thank you so much. I want to first introduce my co-director, because she's doing a lot of the work right now since I'm working full-time, and that is Alicia Vasquez. And I love the younger generation coming in and really taking over. You know, I mean, that's what it's about. You know, we've blazed that trail for you, okay? And then we have a new president at Los Ascendientes, and this is Ricky Riojas. And Ricky was one of Lydia's students, and I first met her when she did a presentation here, right before we opened officially the Mexican American Heritage and History Museum. So I know, do we have other board members? I want to acknowledge our Los Ascendientes board members. Mauro, back there, Mauro Greco, and Pat Metton. I know she's here somewhere. She's working on the newsletter in the office, I know. So I'm first going to start with Latinos and Heritage Conservation, because that is where I really got my drive and my passion to move forward and do things in historic preservation. And I think I might need the light. So, well, the theme of this event tonight is reactivating the downtown history. It's important. I grew up in Menlo Park, so downtown was my playground and where I used to come shopping and did a lot of things with my parents, my mother. Saw, you know, the mariachis at the gazebo, you know, in La Placita, and spent a lot of time here. And when, as Raul said, I've been working on preservation things for a long time. We've been working on trying to get a space, you know, a cultural center, a real, true cultural center, Mexican-American cultural center for a long time. Raul and I can go on for hours and hours talking about it. But in 2015, I invited myself to attend a convening that Latinos in Heritage was hosting here in Tucson. So they held their first convening here, and I want to acknowledge also that the board chair for this national organization is here tonight. She came from Phoenix. Desiree Aranda, where are you? She's back there. Stand up. Stand up. Desiree. She's amazing. She traveled from Phoenix to attend, and thank you for coming, Desiree. Desiree led the effort to start this organization, and it has been a pleasure serving with her and all of our awesome multi-generational board. We came together after realizing that there were many of us with the same views on Latinx historic and heritage preservation. We were out of view of the mainstream preservationists, although advocates that have been fighting to save our longtime homes, our neighborhoods, our businesses, parks, and other community spaces. Most of us did so without formal training and did not call ourselves preservationists, at least not at first. Nonetheless, we rooted ourselves in the places that mattered most to us, often putting our bodies on the line to defend our belonging in our local communities and in the nation at large. Who remembers La Gente del Manzo? Right, Isabel? I know she's here. Today's advocates inherit these traditions of democratic participation, pride of place and culture, and resistance to social injustice from earlier generations of civil rights and ethnic studies movements. Then as now, Latinos in Heritage Conservation stand in solidarity with groups whose histories, important places, and culture have been systematically erased, and we imagine a future in which our heritage is recognized as part and parcel of the American experience. This is why we are here and we do what we do. I'm going to give you some of the accomplishments that have happened since I joined in 2015. And first of all, the 2015 in Tucson, we had the convening. In 2016, we went to Houston, Texas, where we had a reunion gathering, bringing Latinos to highlight their successes and challenges in building cultural, arts, and heritage programs to community. In 2018, we went to Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, at a national encuentro gathering where we partnered with a local arts organization who was led by one of our board members, Marta Martinez, who is originally from El Paso. In 2022, which just happened in April, we were in Denver, Colorado at our National Congreso gathering, partnering with History Colorado, which was a huge success, and our special keynote speaker there was our very own Congressman Raul Grijalva. And we also had our Councilor Lane Santa Cruz as a speaker there as well. It was wonderful. Other accomplishments are that in 2020, in 15 we started as a very grassroots organization, and we were all from all parts of the United States. And we received our nonprofit status in 2020 as a 501c3 nonprofit organization right here in Arizona. So now we have a vested interest in this organization. In 2021, at the end of 2021, Latinos in Heritage received a $750,000 grant from the Andrew Mellon Foundation to support our programs and to help us build capacity. And so I feel that we're brothers and sisters in the Mellon Foundation, Javier. In 2022, with that funding, we were able to hire 3 full-time staff members, including Seila Mota Casper, who's our executive director, and a project manager and an administrative and development specialist. Right now, we're starting the first phases of planning our 2024 Congreso in Miami, Florida. So stay tuned, and if you're interested, let me know. We've also developed a membership program starting at a $40 membership rate all the way up to $500. And if you want more information, you can go to our website. So some of the social impacts that well, first of all, we've also been, we have some ongoing projects that are going to benefit everyone. The first one is a Latinx Advisor and Advocacy Preservation Toolkit, which is a digital and video toolkit to help Latinx communities preserve and protect their historic sites. And then the Abuelas Project, which is a multi-year GIS preservation initiative to collect, curate, and amplify stories about places that matter to Latinx communities. So we can all get involved in this. So these are just a few, I was trying to highlight the major points. Probably haven't told you. Go ahead. So this picture is of the first convening, and this was here in Tucson, and we took a walk, and I surprised them with Los Changuitos Feos serenade at the gazebo in full tradition of a Tucson welcome. And then we walked over here actually to the Sosa Carrillo house. At the time it was closed. I had no idea what was going to happen in the future, that I would be standing here today, but at that point it was locked and we couldn't come in, but we at least were able to see it from the outside. The influence of this organization, along with my passion for cultural heritage and preservation, was a gateway to working on the panel discussions through our Mexican American History Project led by Dr. Lydia Otero. I actually met Lydia at the very first convening of Latinos in Heritage Conservation. That's where we connected. These discussions were well attended, and we had some pretty lively discussions. It was a safe space where we could express our thoughts, our memories, and our frustrations. Educating ourselves and our community on our significant contributions and recognized as placemakers and placekeepers of our history, places, and stories. We had 6 panel discussions from December of 2015 to 2016. And you can keep going. Right here, I'll do it. Oh. These were some of our attendance and some of our our discussions. You can probably see some familiar faces in there. Go ahead. And then right here, as I was looking for pictures, I found this and I wanted to share this little bit of experience. Richard Elias was always our MC at all of our events.
Historic preservation. Historic preservation for Latinos, for Mexican Americans, for people of color, comes from all different kinds of places. We look to the north and we see Babatoa, the Tohono name for what we call sometimes the Santa Catalina Mountains, and sometimes we call them Mount Emmons. So there's a lot of different ways we describe things. If we look to the east, I don't know the other words for Turkey Neck Mountains, but that's what they call the Ring Mountains. Then you look to the south, and that's Chudoa, and it's Long Mountains. That's the Santa Ritas that some folks would see destroyed by Rosemount mines. But preservation, let's talk about Choctaw. And that's the mountains to the west of us. And Choctaw means black mountains, because they were covered with volcanic rock. But a mountain don't look so black anymore. You know where all those black rocks are? Right here in this little wall built around the University of Arizona. I wonder how many Latino backs got broken doing that, how many Native people worked hard, how many wonderful citizens of Tucson worked hard to strip that mountain of its rocks and bring it here. Their history should be preserved. The notion of what that means to us is a part of historic preservation. Not just meeting the parameters of what a building needs to be in order to be preserved. I think that's a really important notion for all of us to understand. I think that's what Becky's all about. And then say it with me one more time. Our history. Our history. Our places. Our places. Our stories. Our stories. Thank you.
I didn't tell Lydia I was doing that. So, yeah, these are our flyers from those events that we had. You can just go through them. These are we would invite different speakers and kind of like this, you know, and just really have great discussions. Thank you. These experiences open doors to other opportunities, such as the timing to reclaim the Sosa Carrillo House. When Dr. Otero informed me that Borderlands Theater would not be able to continue caretaking the Sosa Carrillo House, we knew that if Borderlands Theater moved out, it would be hard to get that space back in the future, and Los Descendientes have been dreaming of a space for decades. It was a perfect storm where the Arizona Historical Society and Los Descendientes Board negotiated a lease that would also keep Borderlands here to do their work. This was a big undertaking for us, and it took a lot of time, effort, and funds to bring it together. Some of our accomplishments over the past 3 years. The first was in 2019. That was our opening day. It was March. Go ahead. You can see our mayor at the grand opening. We got the keys and opened our exhibit called The History of Women in Mariachi, curated by Leonor Perez. Our ribbon cutting was attended by our mayor before she was mayor, who has always been a strong supporter for us. Thank you, Mayor. It was a huge success, and full disclosure, we had never run a museum before, so it took a lot of learning and researching. We successfully applied for our first grant, and we used it to buy equipment, the chairs you're sitting on, as well as supplies for future exhibits. These are events, next. These are some of the events that we've had. If you could go back to this one. This is an event from 2019, Dia de la Virgen, and 2020, Dia de los Muertos. We've had these events, and the Dia de la Virgen is one of my favorite pictures of the mayor with her mother at this event. It was a beautiful time. Our Dia de los Muertos event was very special that year after losing our friends, Supervisor Elias, along with many friends and relatives who passed from COVID. The mayor's office helped us with this altar, and at that point, 665 people had passed from COVID. If you look on the sides of the wall, the mayor's staff made and painted all those crosses to represent them. And we still have the crosses as we consider them sacred. So we've had plenty of events here. I know I have to finish this off. And I have, our museum exhibits have been successful because of our community and our supporters. Los Ascendientes has new leadership now, and we are ready to continue. We will be hearing some news later about our next chapter. For me, 2015 was a turning point, and as I look back, I am proud to say we have made many advances in keeping our downtown history, stories, and places visible for present and future generations. There is more to do, though, and our next speakers will provide what that might look like. My last slide is a plaque that was placed downtown on the west side of the Pima Administration Building. Anyone who knew Supervisor Richard Elias knew that one of his favorite places to dialogue with employees, friends, and strangers was there by the bridge. This is a public art site that features him, so please go by and check it out. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
I love that speech by Brother Richard, and you know, his spirit is always with us, but also his family. So I'd like to recognize Emily. Emily Elias is here in spirit. For Richard, we miss him, we love him, and thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Also, I had a COVID moment when I mispronounced Ana Oliuis. Está haciendo O'Reilly Chevrolet. Ana, thank you for all your work. I see also so many other people have been so supportive. But I'd like to move on and introduce Dr. Otero, who all you know with the books and the writings and everything I said at the beginning. Please give her a big welcome.
Hi all. Thank you for being here. I put together a presentation with what we've done in the past, what I've participated in, just to guide you and tell you what's possible. Plus, I want you to know what we did because perhaps it's a foundation for what we can accomplish in the future. Can you all hear me? Yeah? Okay, next. As you know, I focused my first book on the downtown area, what I call the Tucsonenses downtown, called La Calle, and that's what I called it, and people that I knew around me called it. And I put a little star, this is where we are, just to situate you, so to start the discussion. So this is where we would have been in the mid-1960s, and it would have looked like this. 269 structures, multi-occupancy structures, some of them were destroyed. Next one. It looked like this once the structures were leveled. Again, the star, the point where we are today, right now, because this building was saved, perhaps for the wrong reasons, for ethnocentric reasons, but nevertheless, now, right now as I stand here, I'm so thankful that it was preserved and saved. So this, of course, is urban renewal, where we lost about 80 acres of historical sites, of important sites that can never be recovered, but we're trying. Next. And this is where we are today, and this is what it looked like. The consciousness around car culture ensured that there was a lot of parking lots, and the concept of multi-level parking wasn't something that was thought about, and so it meant the destruction of more housing and more displacement. As a statistic, and maybe I'm off by a couple numbers, 63% of the people displaced were Mexican-American, 29% or 27% were African-American, and 9% were Chinese-American. So you can see that this was a project that targeted people of color and removed them from the downtown area. Betty talked about this group that we participated in to try to galvanize people around history and its issues. And we did some interesting stuff, had some interesting discussions around gentrification. But once we asked folks to put the survey together, or asked people to tell us what they thought was important. And I'm just going to go through some quick summary of what we learned from the people that attended that session. Next one. So this was in 2015. It's dated because this museum didn't belong to it wasn't ours. So we asked folks, hey, do the survey for us. We asked them to do it then, not to take it home, but to actually fill it out there at the meeting. What places or sites in Tucson and Southern Arizona do you think best represent Mexican-American history? And so I tabulated them. So if there's any sociologists out there, please forgive me, because I'm going to go through it quickly and summarize what the results were. Some were hard to categorize, but people mentioned my family's home on a Huber Street, the area around a mountain, the border crossing, Dia de los Muertos at cemeteries, anywhere where Mexicans live, building in places built by Mexican-American laborers and craftsmen. I know that Richard Elias was very adamant about that. Businesses and the mosaic art in South Tucson. These were mentioned, but they didn't merit ranking very high. Next one. I separated barrios from sites. These scored 3 points, and these were old barrios. The next one. So barrios that scored highest were, people would just say old barrios, and barrio neighborhood, barrio south of Cushing. Barrio Anita scored 6, which is high. Menlo Park did 2, but the highest scoring barrio was Barrio Viejo, which we know is adjacent to where we are now. In terms of sites, these sites, like the Historical Society, many churches, Mission Gardens, scored 1. Now let's be fair, Mission Gardens hadn't evolved into what it is now, right, in 2015. Teatro Carmen scored 2, San Jose, Davis School, and it's interesting how people are constructing this as a historical site. La Filita, Borderlands Theater, which used to be at the Charles O. Brown House on Broadway at that time, the Cushing Street Bar, and Tumacacure. Next. 3 points, Tupac Santa Cruz Church. I find it hard to say that word. 5 points. Next. And higher scores, the Presidio in general. I don't know if they meant the park or the Presidio that we know, that's now a museum, or and La Placita scored 6 points. So these are high, but I was surprised because I thought them to be, these sites to be higher. Next. San Agustin scored 10 points, which also surprised me because I thought all the churches were going to rank higher. Next. San Javier ranked 10 points. And so here, if we could do a drum roll, but it's too cold to do that. It's interesting because what you'll see, what this survey will reveal is investment. The investment in history that Mexican Americans felt in 2015 by the survey in their particular places. So I don't know if you can guess what's next, but clearly, Mexican American to places where they can celebrate themselves, right? Celebrate their gente. Yes. And number one, the highest by that was even higher than this by double. Next. So it's insightful in terms of how we should consider as we pursue these projects of commemoration to make sure that they're meaningful, because commemoration is attachment in bodies, right? Next one. So in reactivating history downtown, I took the definition of reactivate, and it's restoring something to a state of activity to bring it back into action. Memories are an activity, remembrance is an activity, conversations are an activity, anger is an activity. So all of these things that we want to make sure that we engage in, and then sites that are relevant, that expedite this process, right? That nurture this process of conversation and sharing. And as I would say in my academic days, the dissemination of knowledge. One of the projects I worked on was La Casa Cordova. It's a part of the Tucson Museum of Art. It's on Main Street. This house claims to have been built before the Gadsden Purchase, so it's very old. Next. Most of you know it because of the Nacimiento and have been there because of the Nacimiento. And that's the only time probably that you were inside, probably prior to 2017. And Alba Torres helped collect some of these little bonitos, these little artifacts. So the next one. Oh, Maria Navarrete Cordova was actually a person who lived in that house from the 1930s until 1972, when the house was placed on the National Register and preservationists associated with the Junior League made it actually displaced her. And she died 3 years later in 1975. It's a tragic story because the house was put together as a museum, and that didn't last very long. And next. And this is what it looked like. Of course, there's the Nacimiento was open, but they would have this shield that says "Staff only." No, you can't go inside. Of course, I went inside, and I took this photograph, which was just they were using it as a storeroom. And I complained. I told them I was writing about it, and they were receptive. I mean, if we think about it and how we're going to lobby and the collaborations we want to build, agencies, organizations, it's not they might be receptive. They don't want to be portrayed negatively. They don't want to look, especially if you remind them that, you know, you're a historian and you're going to write about it. They don't want to appear insensitive. Yeah. So, next one. So this is a big fuss that they reopened the house in 2017, and they featured a historical exhibition. In the back, you can see a screen where they included videos and people's voices. And for the first time, next, Maria Cordova's image was back in her house. First time.
Thank you, Dr. Otero.
So, next. And this is an example of some of the exhibits that were put together. I want to acknowledge Mariana Pegno, who was instrumental in making this happen. About 2016, the Casa Cordova got a grant to do some of the outside renovations and that's when they decided to do this. Now, because of COVID, it's been closed. And next time you go there, ask, when's the Casa Cordova going to open? When is that exhibit going to be accessible? Because I want to see it. It's really important that they hear from community that we want that portion of the house open. Next. And of course, at the opening, they invited Barrio Stories to perform and Borderlands to perform. Next, and that's my next reactivating space that I'll talk about. It was 4 days of performances here on this site here in 2016. I mention it because in terms of reactivation, that was a game changer. If you were, how many of you attended Barrio Stories? Yeah, it was a game changer, right? It was memorable. 5,000 people attended during those 4 days. I just wanted to pick out pictures that show how many people were here. I think in my lifetime, in my professional career, that was the apex of my professional career because I was just in a high. I never thought it'd be possible, and it was just. At the end, I wanted to cry, but it was that important and touching to me to see people back here. Next. So, Borderlands Theater used the hard surfaces of the TCC to stage their performances. You can see the fountains there. At that time, the fountains were not running. You can see again how they improvised in terms of providing this immersive experience for folks. And folks had to move from site to site. It wasn't just a stage. People had to move from place to place. This is how the performances were staged. You can see the people there. You can see these. This is actually the back of these. So you can see how astute Borderlands staged these performances and incorporated what they could because we couldn't change anything, right? Or modify anything. So it was very innovative in many ways, and especially making people move and it was meaningful to each person in their own way how they related to the space. Now, for people that didn't know about urban renewal and about the barrio that was here, they learned something new, and to others, like myself and to others, it just reaffirmed what we knew already. Again, a shot of what it looked like. And some other shots. The ofrenda was actually one of the most memorable moments for me. It was as simple as these young women reading the names of the people that once lived here. And it was just very touching. And these were la gente. Was it called la gente or los vecinos? Los vecinos. It was los vecinos, and they would walk away in between performances, and sometimes they'd be happy and jovial and talking to each other. Sometimes they'd come out and they like had their things and had suitcases and were being kicked out. And sometimes they just looked sad and displaced and they were looking for what was once there. So that was like an important aspect of that. Many of the vecinitas participated in it as La Gente. And of course, it's about collaborations. We had a think tank, and we met for 6 months prior to the performance, to the Borderland performance. And I grew very close to Mark and Milka and everybody in Borderlands Theater. But collaborations, talking about the project, was very important. Betty talked about the various collaborations that we have worked in. And one of them was with HSL Properties, and I don't know, I never ever thought I'd be one to sit at the table with developers, but it did happen, And now I'm glad that I did work with them in that way. And sometimes, it was, I had to put myself in a different place. It's, I don't, but I respected them, and they attended Barrio Stories, and they were trying to learn the history. Now, when we read that they had taken over this area and we're going to build the apartments, me and Betty in particular, where is Betty? Oh, okay. Said we're going to a meeting and we're going to meet with Omar. I forgot Omar's Mireles, and we went to this meeting and we said, hey, this site is important. We want you to remember its history. And he was in agreement with us. And he says, well, what would you want? What would you like to see? And we want to highlight the history. I mean, it's that simple. We threw out ideas. One of the ideas was, once we looked at the blueprints and the plans, was to put these photographs outside. And I hope most of you have walked through there and you can see these photographs. They're they're on a plastic shield. They're not supposed to last forever. I know when I told you, I said, they're going to replace them every 2 years. And you said, oh, no, they're not taking down these pictures. Because that's how possessive we are, right? When there's something meaningful, we don't want it to go down. But they said every 2 years, they're going to replace them with other photographs of this place. So again, let's remember that and remind them, especially if they start disengaging or separating from the wall. We came up with the idea of how about a luminaria? And this is the luminaria that's there. It was designed by Sharia Jimenez, who's a local artist, and she put, who we referred, right. Because this was private property, we didn't have to go through the process of bids and through the city and county process. So yeah, we insisted on shading this project. And she's the one that put the names together. I took these pictures yesterday, and I was not going to go out at night because I knew I was going to be here today. And so this is a project that involves private property, right? But in the future, we have worked together with the with city agencies, and I want to make sure that we have been to convey that we've been successful with some projects, because as Raul said, we have a receptive mayor and staff who has moved on ensuring that some of the Mexican-American history is preserved in this area and recognized. And so I'll end my presentation here. Thank you.
It's already warmed up for you. I'm not surprised the casino ballroom made it to I'm not. I mean, those are the guys that put so much into the community. I remember Butch Martinez, who was the original president, told me a story, and Fred as well. And this will be a good intro into our mayor. When Mo Udall ran for president a long time ago, many of you may not know, he ran for president. So he wanted to come to the casino ballroom to attract the Chicano, the Mexicano vote. So the FBI came in and checked, and they came to talk to Butch. They say, Mr. Martinez, the bathrooms are not the kind of bathrooms that Mrs. Moyudal is used to. You're going to have to remodel them. And Butch looked at the guys and said, well, if the restrooms are good enough for Mrs. Martinez, they better be good enough for Mrs. Udall. I'm not changing a damn thing. All right. A lot of courage, a lot of guts, and a lot of vision for the Latin American social Club had a lot of vision, just like our next guest, the mayor of the Tucson and mayor of all Tucsonians. Please welcome Regina Romero. Yay!
Muchas gracias, buenas noches. Qué frío. Qué frío. You know, I've been thinking about this presentation since I realized I had to present today. And Javier, or El Javier, as we like to call him, went to my husband's party last Saturday at our house. And he's like, ¿ya estás lista para la presentación? And I'm like, ¿cuál presentación? What presentation? No, I'm just kidding. I've been looking forward to this plática. And in preparing myself for this plática, I don't have fancy slides. Actually, Otero just told me that she put a couple of pictures up there so that I could talk about it. But I thought about my growth as a public servant in Tucson, and Betty, seeing Richard speak, he would speak like that to me. He didn't have to have an audience to speak like that, by the way, mi hermano. And he was my historian. He and others really educated me. And it seems to me, and I love, I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning, and the original profe that really woke my senses of who I am and where we are in this beautiful, special place of Tucson was la madre de Manso and Chicano movement, one of the many madres, Guadalupe Castillo. I took her class, Mexican American Studies, Chicano Studies class at Pima. At Pima. And she woke my senses to open my eyes to, you know, what it is to be a Chicana. And what it is, what the contributions that Chicanos, Mexicanos, Mexican Americans have contributed to this space and to this state and to this region. And that's really when I realized that I really wanted to serve this community and do something about the inequity that has been happening for generations since one of the original sins of genocide of the native people of this country. And you know, with Guadalupe being surrounded by her stories and me wanting to contribute to this beautiful city that I now called home, because originally I'm from Soma. It was San Luis, Yuma area. But I come from a family that has Sonoran Desert roots for 7 generations. And because we crossed the border into the Yuma area, from San Luis and Sonora to the Yuma area, we're called immigrants. But Lupe, la profe, really started it revived this sense in me of asking questions and being curious and being able to really look and dig into history. What's the true history that I was not taught from K to 12. And so I started volunteering my time for voter registration drives, and I happened to, walk into getting to meet the most amazing, important people that have contributed to the history of this beautiful city. As a very young person, invited to volunteer for political campaigns, and really started to meet, Raúl Grijalva and Richard Elias and Don Elias, Don Albert Elias, Mona, Isabel, Raúl, Betty. So many wonderful people, some that we've lost, El Rascuacho, Pancho, that had taught me a lot through stories and through having fun and through campaigning. I got to know myself much more. And I got to know las historias de Tucson, las historias de las familias. And it is people like Lupe and Isabel and Betty and Richard Elias, los historiadores, like the vocal history of our city was really transmitted from them to me, and the passion of being able to right the wrongs. And when I first started getting involved in this political process, never did I ever, even when I was volunteering for these campaigns, my first ever campaign that I got involved with was for Tucson City Council Ward 1. And at that time, I never imagined that 12 years later I would be running for that seat. But in my service, I've learned a lot. And as I walked into and got elected by the people of Tucson to be their mayor, we started questioning, back in 2015, we started questioning, why is it that the history of brown and black and Chinese people, why is it erased? Why, it not just happened physically. The deconstruction and the destruction of the barrio. But it also happened in the pages of the history of Tucson. It also happened in the names of the streets, in the erasure of the spaces, of the places where we once were going to church and having dances at La Placita. And so, as mayor, we were already having these conversations. And as mayor, I said, I am going to take this opportunity, because I only have 4 years, because we never know we're going to be elected again, right? I'm going to do everything I possibly can, as fast as I can, to remind people what this place is. El terruño, my dad would say. La tierra te habla. La tierra te habla. And it tells you the history of what has been happening here in this land. The dirt tells you stories, and you just have to listen. The history of the Otan people that owned this land and worked this land. There's more than 4,500 years of history on the foot of a mountain. And it tells us much. And what it is telling me is that we need to reinstitute the culture of those that have lived on this land. And, with the help of my wonderful and dear friend, Lalaine, who is so wise, so wise, la profe, la doctora, we are working on the recognition of Chuchon and how we we recognize the Otam, the Hohokam, Otam piece of land, and where they, that the Honotam people can decide what we do with that piece of land that the city of Tucson owns. Much to come there, but in naming something, you give it, ownership. And so, naming Richard Elias Fountain, we forever imprint that space with that leader, and our leader, right? Our leader. The history of his family on these lands is to be recognized, and we, with the leadership of Councilmember Santa Cruz, we didn't ask permission, we did it. Next one, Linda Ronstadt Music Hall. Linda Ronstadt, y esta fue una plática with Lydia, Betty and I, that we were discussing, like, we have to reclaim and rename and put the names back into what the history tells us has been there. And in the conversation, I said, Lydia, nobody has ever named the music hall. It's the music hall. It didn't have a name. Why don't we claim the space with Linda Ronstadt, la hija de Tucson, that hasn't been in music and is from here, from this land, this Sonoran, beautiful Sonoran desert. And so I said, we're going to name the music hall Linda Ronstadt Music Hall, because esa familia has been here forever, and nobody had given Linda Ronstadt the recognition that she deserves as being our daughter. Y en esa plática, we also talked about naming the Plaza Alba Torres Plaza, which just happened, celebration just happened. A fighter, una luchadora, una guerrera, helping the barrio, the people in the barrio fight for this historic preservation, this acknowledgement that we're here and that we are part of this land. And in this moment, in this time that you have the first Chicana mayor of the city of Tucson, we can't waste this time. I've believed in the power of history for a long time, and as a council member worked really hard to with Luis Mena, Raúl Aguirre, Josefina, Cárdenas, that's here, to do the acuérdate, Josefina, the first site statue of the Hohokam people, Otam people, seeing the first site of the colonizers coming into this space. And I was a council member when we did this together, and I've always believed that my dad would always tell me, you have to know where you come from to know where you're going. And that's something that I carry with me all the time. We need to know this history. And, I don't know, is there another picture? Okay, she did it for me, thank you. But it is not the end. We still have so much to do and rebuild in terms of telling the story of Tucsonenses. And a diverse story, right? No más the Fremonts and others. It is the history that we've lived through and have lived in this beautiful Sonoran desert And we are working on the possibility of creating a Mexican-American Chicano cultural center with living history, living history. And, the city of Tucson owns sites, and it is something that we've seen before, right? We've seen the Dunbar Center be a partnership between TUSD and the African American community to have a space to claim and to have a place to practice the culture. The same thing can be done with the city of Tucson in any piece of land that we might have or building that I have my sites. I have my sites on El Crucillo, or All Saints, which is owned by the city of Tucson and has its own history. And that's the space that Richard Elias dreamed could become and his dad, Don Alberto Elias, that they dreamed could become a space where we would recognize Mexican-American Chicano history here in our city. But I remember Don Elias would always say, Mijita, it has to be a place not just with pictures. It has to be living culture, Mijita. We need to have mariachi classes. We need to have teatro. We need to have art classes. We need to have tamale making classes. And so that is still a dream, and that's still something that I want to make sure that we have the possibility of working together as a community to move that dream further. The models are out there that we can take from. And we can and we should take advantage. That you have a mayor that's willing to get into some pleitos to make things happen. And so I know there's questions, but this is something that I've been meaning to do, and in preparation for people from this barrio that has apologized for what the city of Tucson did to our barrio. And tonight is the appropriate time for this mayor, on behalf of the city of Tucson, to apologize to the families that were displaced from this barrio.
Definitely, and it is time for a Chicano museum. And we're working, we're tapping, Javier and I, and the mayor, and Betty and everybody, we're trying to get Chis Marin to come and say, "Órale, vato, how you do it?" Hey, $5 million is nothing. We got to talk to HSL Properties, man. Get Humberto Lopez to make a donation. It's a drop in the bucket. Rio Nuevo, another $5 million, we got 10. Who gives me another 5? We can get it. And I think it's time to have a Chicano museum, and we're working real hard on behalf of all of you to make that happen. And we have questions? Nobody ask any questions? Por favor, recojan las tarjetas. Espérate, Isabel. ¿Tienes tu tarjeta? Tú nomás dime. Go ahead. Ask the question.
Thank you so much, everybody, for all of this. The kiosco was a very important part of our Mexicano culture here. We were like a regular Mexican town. All the fiestas were around the kiosco. That was our heart of Tucson. Okay, they took that away. We went to Kennedy Park. The 1070 stuff comes around. All of a sudden, the city says, oh, and everybody says, we cannot fund these events anymore. That was a big step in a further step of cultural genocide of our community here in Tucson. because those fiestas were clave. You know that? Clave for our communities, like 10, 20,000 people, and they're gone. The consulado now tries to do a thing, but it's limited. The grito at the Fox Theater, and so this, I'm glad we're, talking about this, because the kiosco was super important. And then, okay, they took us to Kennedy, and now it's gone. So we're continuing to be erased.
So maybe the city can work on some of those things, I'm sure, right? I mean, I've been, wait a minute, before you say anything else, let me tell you, Mayor. So they gave me in 2015, they gave me an award on for preservation. And when they called me, I said, preservation of what? Just like you mentioned, Betty, I've been doing, the Fiestas Patrias forever, the Tejano Music Festival. So they gave me a preservation award for the Tejano music, for the Norteño Music Festival of South Tucson, and for the foundation of the Mariachi, the Educational Revolution. And I kept asking the city at the time, and you're right, many of the mayors just wouldn't do it because of the obligations for security that they put, that we couldn't do all that and do it as a benefit for the community. So maybe that's something that we can work on.
And it'll be sponsored by REA Communications. Yes, I agree with you that there were police presence requirements that really made it very expensive to have these fiestas, and really dismantled the fiestas that could be had. And so that's one of the major reasons why I really lobbied the Mariachi Conference Board to bring it back to our downtown, porque I remember we had Garibaldi, our Mariachi conference here forever, and because of lack, to be honest, because of lack of support from the city of Tucson, they left where whoever could help them put on the conference. And so one of the things that I started working on immediately with my city manager on is to put down $25,000 immediately, and whatever we could do in terms of conference space here at the TCC to bring back the Mariachi conference to the center, to El Corazón de Tucson. So, and thankfully last year was the first year back from the pandemic, and it was the 40th anniversary of the Mariachi conference in Tucson, and we brought it back to downtown. And we had our Linda Ronstadt naming ceremony during the Mariachi conference. So it was a very special time. Las fiestas del grito, pues quién sabe, a ver quién who volunteers to put them together, porque a board that put them together, I don't think it exists anymore.
No, after 1070 and everything.
Yeah, after 1070. Yeah.
Ward 1 on the board.
La Lane Ward 1 is going to start organizing the event.
All right.
Now you see why I throw the ball to her? She's got the answers. I'm good. Any other questions? All right, well, I know that we have food coming up. Do we have a question? Thank you, Vanna. Just kidding. I want to remind also people that the barrio stories, as they began to happen, were largely sponsored by the Confluence Center, which did a great job as well. The question is how does selling Sosa Carrillo to Rio Nuevo fit the narrative of preservation? Villegas in the house.
That's pointed at me.
It just is, and now they use it for $1. So, it's advantageous.
It doesn't. No. It was a tough one for us when we were in the negotiations The Arizona Historical Society had no money to fix the adobe that's falling apart on the outside, or the bathrooms that there's just a lot of repairs that need to be done. And they didn't have the money to fix it. And so Rio Nuevo came and said, you know, you guys, this place is right in the middle of our campus, and you know, we are interested in possibly buying it. So right away we were against it, because, you know, who trusts Rio Nuevo, right? So I called the mayor right away and I said, help, you have to help us, because, you know, they're a big giant and we're just this little nonprofit with a 1-year lease at the time. And so through a lot of negotiations and a lot of contracts and back and forth, at this point it seems like the best choice. If the city would have bought it, there would have been, you know, I mean, if in 10 years we don't have the mayor that we have, then they could sell it, you know. Where with Rio Nuevo, in the contract and in there it says there's a deed restriction that says when Rio Nuevo goes away, it goes back to the Arizona Historical Society. And it has to stay as a cultural or a cultural space, an educational space. It has to stay. The TCC is not going to run the space. We will. They gave us a 5-year lease, and which, you know, we're hoping to renew and renew. And one of the reasons that I love seeing what we have here is because the only way for them to not give us that 5-year lease is if we're not producing, right? If people aren't coming here. So we really need this activation, this, you know, as Lydia talked about, the activation of space is what's going to protect it from the giants. And so, and to keep it, you know, our focus is to keep it affordable. We do rent the patio out for events, a lot less than other people, but you know, the president's looking at me like she wants to raise the rates, but I'm not going to let her. But, you know, and we want community input on what kind of exhibits do you want to see here? You know, we want your input. So, you know, make sure that you talk to us, because this is a community space. We're a nonprofit, but it belongs to you. So, yeah, it's not the best having Rio Nuevo as a landlord, but I can tell you something. Fletcher, is he here? He's been very, very accommodating, and it seems that he gets it. And I know that the mayor had some long conversations with him, so that's why we got to keep the mayor the mayor. So we're actually, I don't think the mayor told you, but today Arizona Historical Society actually voted on this transfer, and they have the commitment is they have to. It was appraised for 1.2 million, and the repairs are about the same cost. So the state attorney general is making them put 1.2 million into the space without changing the character and the culture, because it's on the National Register, so it can't change. So yeah, I hope that helps whoever asked that question.
What do you mean there's no preservation? We got him. Yeah, I think that's a good deal, you know, to be able to do some of that and preserve it and make sure that it's contractual. And we'll take the last question is, Dr. Otero, they want to know, when is your next book coming out? light a candle, go to the mission, go to the tiradito, and keep praying for more intellectual great stuff from Dr. Otero. I'm sure we'll be hearing from her soon. Thank you so much. I want to thank our panel. Give them a big round of applause. We're smelling the food. And I want to... Oh, we have a survey. Where? Oh, you see that? For all you technocrats, the little cuadrito, the people goes, ¿y esto qué es? Is it a game? Take a picture and do the survey. We'll appreciate it. Okay, you gotta do it with your phone, guys. All right? Please, technology. All right, take it. You know how you do it. You take, you fix it in, and then it'll pop up, and it'll give you the survey. Please answer the survey. We'll appreciate it. I want to say also. Go ahead. Okay. I wanna thank a lot of the people that are out there really talking to our young kids in the schools, in the high schools, in the elementary schools. With the advent of the Secretary of Education, Horn, winning this election, it's going to be very important that we get behind our teachers. And I'd like to introduce you, Dr. Kevin Chalk is here. Thank you. She's with the culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy at TUSD, and Corina Ontiveros, who they're the warriors out there in the schools, talking to teachers, making sure that they are looking at history, not just Chicano history, but our whole history, Asian history, African American, Native American, and the whole opportunity to learn from each other. So thank you. I'm going to give them a good round of applause. They are warriors on the street. I also saw Dr. Sofia Ramos, who's been a guerrera out there, always ringing the bell. Thank you, Dr. Sofia Ramos, and so many other people that have been helping us for so long on this fight, this struggle, and this continuing work to not be invisible. Okay? And this, they have these buttons by the front door. You can take one. It says, Our History. Our history, our stories, our places. There you go. Dr. Javier Duran, come over here, please. Wrap it up. I can smell the food.
Well, an honor and a privilege to be here tonight with all of you and with our distinguished panelists, and this is work in progress. Again, my thanks to the team and to our hosts who are going to continue to do this. And February 23rd, we have the next show and tell, and we have a good lineup working. I know Santa Cruz is going to be part of that panel, so we're going to continue the conversation at this very same site. And stay tuned for things that the conference center does. I just want to also let people know that we do have the food in the back from Antojo Poblano, one of the best stores in Tucson. And if you can do a line going to your right for the food and then come back, I think that'd be appreciated. And also you have tickets, so please use your tickets. That's your food. If not, let us know. And with that also, again, not only the beauty, but the strategic importance of this place. Please come visit if you haven't been here, and also think where we are, right? We need to continue working with the sense of place. And thank you, Mayor, for